And that applies on the dimension of aggression and on the dimension of sexuality. Because another thing that you might think about is, well, how many marriages break down because of infidelity? And then the answer to that is a substantial proportion. Often because a marriage cannot tolerate even one act of infidelity. I mean, if it's hidden, that's one thing. Maybe the marriage can still survive, even though, it's on very unstable ground at that point. But if the act of infidelity is exposed or admitted to, then the contractual relationship at that point becomes radically unclear. It's very difficult to maintain a marriage relationship after that. Well, you might ask yourself, well, how is it that you stop such a thing from happening? And a psychoanalytic answer would be, well, don't try to be too good in your marriage. And what the Freudians would mean by that is, well, you don't want to be the sort of 1950s couple, each of whom sleeps in a different bed. Because even though that might fulfill some restricted notions of propriety and purity, the probability that it will satiate the more instinctive sexual desires that necessarily manifest themselves, and more importantly, that also make up part of what makes life Dionysian and rich instead of just rational and dull. Those things have to be integrated inside the marriage. And that means that it's difficult. I think this is often a difficult thing for men to do because, and maybe this is less true than it was, but I doubt it. There's a difference between the category wife and the category mistress. And the wife category is sort of a pure category. Maybe that's like mother, or maybe it's like sister, or maybe it's like aunt. And then there's the mistress category, which is more like stripper, or prostitute, or temptress, or something like that. And, well, if each category is completely separate from the other, then if you're in the married category, the mistress category is going to start looking pretty attractive. And so the trick is to get those things integrated, but that also means that the man in the relationship has to foster the development of the mistress in his wife. And often his moral propriety will stop that from happening. Or maybe his jealousy. Because one of the things that you see happening, for example, in marriages, if the wife starts to make herself, and this can also be reversed, if the wife starts to make herself look more attractive, perhaps to get in better physical shape, to dress better, to look more attractive in public, to the degree that the husband is insecure and feeling inferior, he'll interfere with that because he's afraid if she gets more attractive, then she'll attract someone who will take her away from him, so he'll do everything he can to unconsciously ensure that she's as oppressed and dowdy as she can possibly be, so that at least she doesn't run away from him screaming. And that's a standard Freudian entanglement and something that's very characteristic of many close relationships.